So as I mentioned in a previous video that I released today, the whole Helldivers 2 community is on absolute fire right now because of some nerfs that came through. If you're not sure about those nerfs or you want to know more about that, check out my other video. However, in the Discord, we've seen potentially some people rage quitting. There's potentially an announcement about people being fired. It's looking a little scary. And then they put up this blog post about balancing firepower in Helldivers 2, and I kind of wanted to go through it and talk about it and go through all of it. So let's take a look at what they've written here. So balancing the firepower in Helldivers 2, we recently released a patch containing our first round of balance changes to Helldivers 2, and our head of product testing has some valuable insight into our philosophies and practices when it comes to balancing. Hello everyone, my name is Patrick Lasota. I was the designer on the first Helldivers, which I've personally never played, so that doesn't mean a whole lot to me. I do want to go back and play it hopefully someday. I'm currently head of product testing at Arrowhead, a bit of a grandiose title, but what it means in this context is I'm responsible for how Arrowhead listens to feedback and balances its games. I'd like to talk about the changes we made in this patch and why. I actually really appreciate this. As the community is burning everything down, it's great to actually get a little bit of insight into why they're doing things. So primary weapons. First, I'd like to speak to the general power of primary weapons. Many have commented that they aren't powerful enough and are unable to deal with all the enemies either by the amount of ammunition required or the raw DPS. This is very much intentional. You need to rely on your stratagems and the stratagems of your team to deal with all enemies effectively, either by eagle airstrikes, orbital support weapons, or turrets. Some of your loadout / team should be tailoring their loadout to killing the weaker stuff more efficiently. This doesn't mean that your primary weapon shouldn't feel good to use, but please understand that it is only primary in the sense that it's something you always spawn with. So this is really important for two reasons. One, they mention your team. Now, their whole slogan, if you look at their website, their slogan is that a game made for everyone is a game made for no one. They have a very specific vision for what they want this game to be, and that is a team-based game. You can see it here. It is intentionally done that you need to play with teammates. So if you're a solo player, it's possible. I just posted a video, go check it out, of me solo doing a hell dive, max level difficulty. It is absolutely possible, but that is not the intention. They want you to play with other people. And they, as I said in that video, actually, before they released this, I'm glad we're kind of thinking on the same wavelength here. Your primary weapons, you're supposed to feel weak. You're supposed to feel ineffective. You're going against a giant army and you're one person. That's why you need the nuke strike and the orbitals and all that. So it seems that they very intentionally don't want you to just sit there and take out hordes and waves and waves and waves. They want you moving around, relying on stratagems and teamwork. So I'm here for it. I like that logic. I have, since the game release, seen many who say don't nerf, only buff, or other similar ideas. However, as a designer, I can tell you this is not a great idea, but I understand where the sentiment comes from. All too often in the game industry, the core fantasy and what makes a weapon feel good and fun is ignored for the sake of balance. I believe players are scared of nerfs because it will ruin the fantasy of a weapon, ruin their fun. It is important for us to tread carefully so we don't ruin the fantasy and fun when we do nerfs. We hope you, our players, will tell us when we cross that line inadvertently. Let's take a closer look at the changes we made for this balance patch. Now, I believe that they should buff some weapons, 100%. But here's the thing. If they buffed every weapon up to where these three big weapons were, there'd be massive power creep in this game, right? Because inadvertently, if they buffed everything all the way up, then you would run into a weapon that got over buffed, and then all the other weapons would have to be buffed up to that. One would get over buffed again, and you would just keep going up and up and up. And clearly, that's not the fantasy they want here. That's not what they want. So some nerfs are necessary. I believe these nerfs were necessary. The Breaker. The Breaker was quickly pinned as the meta weapon. Basically, everyone used it. Vastly overperforming other weapons and being the best choice for all Helldivers, at least if YouTube is to be believed. Helldiver veterans will remember the Breaker from the first game and how powerful it was, something we've made an effort to mimic in this game as well. When we looked at the Breaker, the data we have on it, its usage painted a picture of a well-liked weapon that was great at killing chaff. That means the small hordes, the little extras, and generally had a few more kills than other weapons. It was, however, not necessarily better at making you succeed in missions, and no real damage nerfs were warranted. The calculated damage total per magazine was quite high compared to the other weapons, however, and something it could be reined in while reinforcing the intended fantasy. The fantasy of the Breaker is a powerful automatic shotgun, that bucks wildly as you hose down targets in front of you. It should be deadly up close with high DPS, and its major drawback should be ammunition management and pacing your fire as so not to overshoot the target. To that end, we have lowered the amount of shells in each magazine and increased recoil. The thing basically had no recoil, so I haven't tried it post nerf, but if it has a little bit of recoil, I'm okay with that. The Punisher. Punisher is a powerful pump shotgun that should hit hard but be limited by its slow reload and fire rate. Its round reload allows you to have it constantly topped up and makes the ammunition efficiency fantastic. Unfortunately, the Punisher had a bug with only half ammo being picked up each time you picked up ammunition, making its supposed great ammunition economy quite poor instead. It also had a weak impact when firing on enemies, requiring multiple shots even at short range. To bring this more in line with his intended fantasy, we increased the damage per shotgun pellet, the stagger amount, and the total amount of ammunition you carry. We hope this will make it feel more punchy, as even if you don't kill a hunter with your first shot, you will most likely stagger it, giving you time for a follow-up. So this is also great, because we have one shotgun nerfed, and they upped another shotgun, and they upped a third shotgun, so you're like, oh, I lost my shotgun. Well, there's plenty of other shotguns for you. The Breaker Spray and Pray. The Breaker S&P was intended to be an even wilder, more point and destroy version of regular Breaker, something where pacing yourself would be even harder. A shotgun that requires you to get closer, but in comparison have a higher damage potential once up close. As many players commented, however, it was mostly good for tickling anything larger than a scavenger. To bring it closer to fantasy, we increased its armor penetration, increased the fire rate from 300 RPM to 330, and increased the amount of shotgun pellets from each shot from 12 to 16. To compensate for this additional firepower, we reined in the magazine capacity from 32 to 26, as to not make it outshine the regular Breaker too much. I tried the spray and pray once, and it did nothing. It was absolutely worthless. I personally don't feel like this change is going to make any difference, but I haven't tried it yet, so we'll see. Here's the big one everyone's upset about, the Railgun. Another one of the current meta weapons enforced by its convenience and efficiency, the Railgun is really intended to be a high-powered anti-tank sniper rifle, requiring both timing with the unsafe fire mode and accuracy with where you hit the enemy. It was vastly overperforming in how safe it was to use and how convenient it was, not requiring a backpack or assistance to be effective and not requiring risk to take out even larger armored targets. To that end, we have changed it so the safe mode is capable of penetrating medium armor such as automaton scout walkers, but not the more heavily armored enemies like chargers and bile titans. For those targets, you must now run it in the unsafe mode and overcharge it. In addition, we reined in the Railgun's ability to damage massive body parts, meaning to get any real efficiency out of it, you must score hits on heads and other weak points. Where it rose to prominence as a part of other anti-tank weapons not being as convenient or efficient in comparison, we're monitoring the situation. So here's the thing. I don't use the Railgun. I did use it, and there's exactly what they're saying here is absolutely right. Like, you use it in safe mode. I didn't even know it had an unsafe mode. You just use it in safe mode, you do 2 shots, take anything down, you keep going. And people are saying, well, now you can't just take out all the chargers. There's too many chargers. You have no way of dealing with them. That's the point. You're not supposed to just deal with the chargers. You're not supposed to be able to just take absolutely everything down. Rather, you're supposed to learn to deal with it with your stratagems, with turrets. I personally use the one-shot anti-tank. Hit it on the leg, it opens it up, and then we breaker it down. Like, there is other tactics, other things you can do. And I think their whole point, again, the whole fantasy here is to be overwhelmed, to be outgunned, and the Railgun defeated that. So I'm very happy about this change, but then again, I never used the Railgun, so I'm not at odds here. The flamethrower is really embodiment of stepping into a queen's lair and torching all her eggs, as done by a badass action heroine. It should be powerful up close and an inconvenience to all the enemies that are lit on fire or want to walk through the fire and flames. As many have commented, the flamers felt a little too anemic, not outputting damage at a rate that is warranted by a weapon with a shorter range and a large volatility, such as the flamethrower. We've increased the flamethrower direct damage to be able to barbecue enemies that get close much faster. Please enjoy your pyramid barbecue device, as this makes it more volatile for any Helldiver caught in the stream. It is important to note they only upped the damage of the initial flame, not the burning flame. So, like the napalm strike was not affected by it, to my knowledge. I haven't tried this out. Flamethrower is one of my favorite weapons, but has been underperforming. I've heard that now it is the meta for how to take out chargers is to use this, though. So get your flamethrowers ready. Let's see here. The laser cannon. Our original intent was that the laser cannon has the role of a machine gun, but with theoretically infinite ammunition. However, many players were somewhat disappointed by this role, expecting more armor penetration from the large drilling beam that it looks like, especially when looking at the orbital laser that can drill down and kill even the heaviest targets given enough time. Here we've decided to side with the community and shift the laser cannon more towards players' expectation and their fantasy. The laser cannon has gained additional damage versus massive body parts, increased armor penetration, make it capable of dealing with medium armor, and better ergonomics to make it easier to stay on target. This is such a quite major change from the original interpretation. Please be prepared that it might change again in the future. I love the laser cannon, and I was one of these people. I thought I was supposed to use this on chargers, and it never killed a charger. I didn't realize you were supposed to sweep through the chaff and try and take out little targets with it. So this is one that I'm really excited to use. Shield backpack. Shield backpack is safety at the expense of a backpack slot. Unfortunately, that safety offered up by a shield backpack was a bit too great, essentially allowing you to ignore many mechanics that contribute to the fun of Helldivers, such as knockback, shockwaves, giant explosions, obliterating you and your friends. To that end, we have increased the time the shield needs before it starts regenerated, if not broken, quite significantly. This essentially means you can't hide behind a rock for 5 seconds to get your shield back to full. Instead, it'll be a degrading health bar until it breaks. When the shield breaks, it will no longer regenerate. It will take longer to regenerate than before, but will significantly shorter than if it had not been broken. To compensate for these extra times, the regen speed of the shield itself is near instant to max HP. This is only a partial solve in our minds for your shield backpack, but should bring it from the out of the must-have meta slot it currently has filled. I never used the shield either, but I know that everyone uses it, and honestly, the CEO at one point made a comment that basically the shield backpack is for less skilled players, which is a really harsh comment, but honestly, I think it makes you a worse player. Because you can ignore these mechanics, you can just run around and do whatever you want. I think it was overpowered. I'm glad that they brought it down. The Barrages, the fancy of these artillery storm, denying entry to an area when they are active, raining down powerful shells on targets. They are primarily different from Eagle stratagems, and that while the Eagle strikes are fast and arrive with pinpoint accuracy, these have longer active times but are less accurate. They have, however, not delivered on the feel of being active much longer, or the saturated area denial effect. To bring them closer to this fantasy, we've decreased their scatter area and given them an extra salvo. This should solve the problem. This was absolutely a problem. Like, if you brought the 380 millimeter barrage, basically it just killed your own people and did nothing else. So I'm really happy with all these changes. I'm glad that they're explaining it because, again, the community is on fire right here. I have in my other tab I'll bring up here. I have not validated this. However, this person claims to be a developer and says, I'm feeding the rage a little bit for my own entertainment here, and then makes a comment. And everyone's really upset that was a very poor look. That looks like the people are coming out. The devs are coming back to fight a little bit. Upset about, again, they've been complaining for like 10 hours straight on the Discord. So I get that they're tired. I get that they're passionate about the game and they're trying to be excited about it, and it's being ruined by all the people complaining. But this was potentially a bad look. But I don't know that this is for sure a developer. So don't crucify him yet. We don't have validation that is actually a dev who said this. So thanks for reading this with me. If you disagree with anything here, tell me about it in the comments below. I'm going to keep featuring some Helldiver stuff, and I'll do some more videos on some new classes now that we got some balancing, and I'll let you know about the balance updates as I play it. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, all that. Have a great day.